Hi, my name's Lee Matthews and I'm a physiotherapist, and this is Pilates, Rehab, Relax. So don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for all of my latest content for things like Pilates routines, gentle physio exercises and relaxation sessions. So today I'm going to show you some gentle balance exercises that you can do at home. So it might be that you're a little bit unsteady on your feet, maybe you're someone who uses a walking stick or an elbow crutch and you're looking to just get a little bit stronger with your leg muscles, and this is a great place to start for that. If you're somebody that maybe uses things like a Zimmer frame, or where you're putting a lot of your arm weight through your walking aid that you use, it might be safer to do something in seated first of all, and I'll put a link up above me that you can click on that will take you through some chair-based leg exercises that might be a little bit safer and a bit easier for those sorts of people. So if in any way you're uncertain if these are the right ones for you, watch them all first of all, and then maybe have someone nearby when you try them the first time. And that way, if you have any problems or if you get into distress, then you can ask them for some help. And it might be that you just do a few of them to begin with, a few repetitions, or you stick to the exercises that are more appropriate to where you're at. And then as you get better with repetition, you can do a few more of them. So there's going to be 10 exercises and I'll take them through one at a time. So one thing that's absolutely vital for this, you've got to have a nice secure surface in front of you. So I'm using my dining room table. You might use your kitchen worktop. You might have some other thing that you can set up, but it needs to be something that you can hold on to that's safe and secure. The other thing that's absolutely essential is a nice secure chair as well. So for a lot of the exercises, we're going to have the table in front of us and the chair behind, and that way if you feel unsteady at all, then you've got a nice safe chair to sit back down into as well. So that's the plan. So we're going to start off with exercise number 1, and that's going to be for our ankles. So let's get ourselves into the chair first of all, and find yourself in a position where your feet are on the floor, and we're going to get those ankles moving. So first of all, I'm going to go up on to the tippy toes and then back down again, and then I'm lifting up the fronts of the feet. And this is really important with this bit of the exercise, because as we lift up the front of the feet, we're strengthening those muscles on the front of our shins, and they're really important when you're walking along the pavement, because they will lift your toes up and stop you from stumbling on things. It's important that our ankles have got some range of movement as well, because if we don't have that flexibility there, that can also be a limitation. So I'm lifting the fronts of my feet up, holding for a few seconds, and then lifting up my heels as well. So I can do a few of those. And again, I don't really mind exactly how many you do, but I'd be aiming for somewhere between sort of 10 repetitions, or it might be that you count, a minute on an egg timer in your kitchen maybe. So just do a few more of those, and then we'll go on to exercise number 2. So yeah, it's good to go onto that tiptoe position, but as you go up there, really working that muscle on the front of your shin. There you go. I'm going to do one more, and then we'll go on to the next thing. There you go. Right, so we're going to stay focusing on the ankle. For the next exercise, I want you to have your feet about hip width apart there. So if you're in any way uncertain, your hips are roughly where the creases of your trousers would be. So I'm going to stand so that I'm facing towards the table here, and the chair's right behind me there. I'm not touching the chair. There's a little bit of a gap, but I've got that there behind me. If you're not very good with your balance, you can hold on a little bit, but I just want you to have the light support of your hands rather than being gripping really firmly here. And if you're okay with it, it might even be that you just hover with your hands above the table. And what we're going to do, we're going to practice bringing our weight over the fronts of our feet and then back over to our heels. So if you watch me do it first of all, so I sway forwards and my weight is right over the front of my toes, and I'm going to hold that for a few seconds and then bring my weight back over and towards my heels, but do it slowly and be safe, yeah? So I'd much rather you did only a small amount to begin with, but without falling over, yeah? So we practice We go forwards and backwards. So your body is a very clever thing, and there's lots of balance reflexes, and some of them come from your ankles. So by us practicing swaying back and forwards here, not only are we strengthening those muscles, but we're improving our balance a little bit as well. So again, we'll do this for about a minute or thereabouts. So again, if you needed to, by all means, you can have some fingertips touching the table there. If you can do it without, it's better, to be honest, because you're going to get more of the work going on from the ankle there. But safety's got to come first with this. So it might be you start by holding the fingertips on the table, and as you get used to it, you might be able to progress towards hovering with those hands. That's good. So that was exercise number 2. We're going to do the very same thing, but this time what I want you to do with your exercises is swaying from side to side. So for you at home, I want you to be still facing towards that table. I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got an imaginary table in front of me here, and you've got a real table in front of you. So what I'm going to do, I've got my feet about hip width apart again, and this time we're going to do a sideways movement. So here we go. I'm going to bring my weight all the way over to one side. So if I was to hang a plumb line down from the ceiling, I want your nose, your belly button and your big toe to be in a perfectly vertical line, and squeeze that bottom muscle there and draw those tummy muscles in. So we're really using our balance muscles to support ourselves. We hold that for a few seconds and then back to the middle again, and then the same over to the other side. So here we go again. Nose, belly button and toe in a vertical line there, yeah? Clench your bum muscle, go on, really squeeze it on that side. Draw those tummy muscles in so you can feel them working. Hold for a few seconds and then back to the middle again. Well, that was 1. I reckon we'll do 5 on each side if that's okay. So here we go again. Bringing the weight over, and again, nose, belly button, heel in a nice straight line. Let's clench your bottom muscle on that side. So really squeeze, 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 and draw those tummy muscles in. And let's just try and hold that for a few seconds. So again, if you're not good with your balance, you definitely want to be holding on a little bit with your hands maybe. You've got that table in front of you, so you've got something to hold on. I've got the one to the side here that I can use a little bit. And then back to the middle again. And over the other side again. So what we find sometimes is that our bottom muscle can get a bit weak. So again, nose, belly button, big toe in a nice vertical line. And you can sometimes find after things like a hip replacement that the muscle here gets quite weak, or we don't get back towards putting our weight so well on that side. So practicing doing this as an exercise is really useful. Here we go, back over to this side again. I can carry on talking. So yeah, when we walk, without you realising it, what you're often doing is doing this very subtly. So if we practice it as an exercise, it can actually help to improve our mobility as well. There we go, and back over to the side. Because if you're not effectively transferring your weight from one side to the other, then it's very difficult to lift the other foot up to place it there. So don't you forget to squeeze your bum muscle as we're doing this, yeah? Draw those tummy muscles in. And then back over to the side. And again. So notice as I do this, the reason I emphasise this vertical line is what I don't want is you just wiggling your hips over to the side. That's not what we're looking for. That might be a good way of doing the hula hoop, but it's not going to help you with your walking. So there we go. Nice vertical line again. Hold, squeeze your bum muscle, yeah? Give it a good clench. Keep on drawing those tummy muscles in. And we stand up nice and tall. And again, you might have the support of that table. And let's go back over to the side again. So transfer that weight across. Clench your bum muscle, draw the tummy muscles in. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Stand up tall. And then relax. So aim to do maybe about 5 on each side. You could even progress to doing 10 of those if you wanted to. But again, it's a really good way of practicing, building up the strength so that when you're walking, you've got that support of the leg that you're load bearing on. So that was exercise number 3. Number 4, we're going to bring our focus up towards the hip again. So we did a little bit with the ankle to begin with, but our hips are also really important with keeping your balance. When you go to step over something, you need to have that ability to stride. So let's do that as an exercise, yeah? I've got a space in front of me. You might well find it a nice thing to have a chair one side of you and the table the other. So I've turned my chair around there. And what I'm going to do, if you're okay without having the support there, you can just hover with those hands again. And what we're going to aim to try and do is stride forwards and then back again. So you might have a big stride if you're confident there, or you might just have a little baby stride, and I don't mind. You'd be safe though above all else. If you're not so good with your balance, then you can obviously use either one hand or both hands. But I'm looking for that stride, and as you go forwards, we're bringing our weight through that front leg there. Now, if I was being really picky, what I'd be saying is as you stride forwards, I want another vertical line from you from your hip, your knee, and your toes, because that's a good biomechanical way of using our leg. And what it also does is it makes you use your bottom muscles, because when our bottom muscles get weak, you find the knee just drifts in a little bit there. So you keep that good posture, we keep that good position, and if you need the support of your hands, then you do it. Safety comes first, yeah? So again, we'll aim for about a minute maybe. I hope you're counting. We'll do a few more. Okay, one more time. There you go. So that was our striding forwards. Well, that's great, but when you're out there in the real world, the whole of the world isn't straight in front of you. Sometimes we need to step to the side, we need to avoid something coming towards us. So for exercise number 5, we're going to do a hip side step. So here we go. I'm going to just practice bringing myself over to one side and back to the middle again, and then over to the other side. Again, I want you to do this facing towards your table, if that's all right, yeah? I've got an imaginary table in front of me so you can see what I'm doing. And you could have just one hand on the table, you might even have both of the hands on the table there. But we're trying to bring our weight over onto that leg and then back to the middle again. You know, a minute would be a good number for how long to do this for. You might do 10 repetitions. So if you're doing well, you might have a nice big stride that you're doing. You might find one side's a lot more difficult than the other, and you just have a little baby stride. That's fine. Very few people are perfectly symmetrical, and when we get things like age-related changes, that often increases that amount of difference on one side to the other. So you play to your strengths, and there's absolutely no point doing these exercises to help you balance and then making your knee really sore. So you just do a little bit each day, if that's all right. Well, we've done enough striding, I reckon. So we're going to do our next exercise, which is exercise number 6, and that's doing some squatting. So I'm going to bring my chair back round again. There we go. I'm going to stand facing the table. Let me move myself so you can see me a bit better. There you go. Right. Feet are hip width apart. Chair behind me if I need it. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to poke my bottom out and do a little gentle squat there. My spine stays nice and straight there, and then back up again. So this is a really good way of strengthening our thigh muscles, and then back up again. So what you can see there, I'm hovering with my hands, so they're there if I need them. You know, by all means, if you want to use your hands on the table for this one, you give yourself as much support as you need to. And if you've got grumbly knees, or one grumbly knee, you might just do a little baby squat there. You hold it for a few seconds and back up again. So, you know, you don't need to go all the way down here to get benefit from this exercise. And I would actually say that if you go really low with it, you're just going to make yourself sore. So let's just keep it gentle. This is supposed to be a kind set of exercises, not too mean. And then back up again. But hopefully as you go down each time, you can feel that bit of muscular work going on in your thighs there. Because we know that if you do that little bit more than you need to each day, if you do a few exercises like this, then when you do come to, go up the stairs or get out of the chair, it's a lot easier. There you go, we're going to do 2 more, shall we? So again, you might do just 5 of them, you might do 10, or you might set an egg timer for a whole minute and you work on what your level of ability is. There we go, that must be about a minute. Right, so exercise number 7 is what we call a tandem stand. So if any of you have ever ridden a tandem bicycle, that's where one rider sat directly in front of the other. So tandem stand is one where the foot is directly in front of the other. So I would say at home, definitely have something either side of you. And I would actually suggest that to begin with, let's do a staggered tandem stand. So if a tandem stand is one foot directly in front of the other, we're going to do a little gap in between there. So I'm going to bring one foot in front of the other, but they're still about hip width apart there. So it's a bit more of a challenge on my balance, but it's not impossible. And I would say by all means have something nearby, and I want you to feel that it is a challenge to stand like this, because otherwise you're not going to get much out of the exercise. But if you find that you're doing this, you need to have a bit more of a gap there. So we're going to have a small gap there between the feet. The feet are about sort of heel and toe level with each other, and we're going to try and hold that position for about 30 seconds. I ought to be a bit more careful watching my watch there, because what we obviously want to do is swap over and do the same on the other side, so bear with. I'm sure you're doing a fine job at home there. So you need to tap the table or the other thing either side of you, that's fine. If we hold on, unfortunately you're not going to get as much benefit. We want those ankles doing the work with this, because this is about, again, improving our balance reactions. There we go, that's half a minute. And let's do the swap over now. Swap over, guys. So what you find is that the back leg actually does more of the work in this position. So you might find as you swap over, you're a lot worse on one side than the other. And that's fine, it's all work in progress with this, isn't it? So again, don't forget to draw those tummy muscles in. And if you focus on a point in front of you, that's another good way of maintaining balance. Just a few more seconds. There we go, that was it. Well done. So that was our tandem stand. We're gonna go back to the chair again, facing towards the table. And the next exercise, exercise number 8, is sitting to standing. So let me bring myself back into my chair. If you can hear any creaking, that's definitely the chair and not me. So when we go to stand up, what I'm looking for is a good technique is having your bottom forwards in the chair. You want your feet to be directly under the knees and about hip width apart. With this exercise, you can use your hands as much as you want to push up from the chair, but what I absolutely don't want you doing is pulling yourself up from the table, because it's not very safe to do that, as you just saw there. So you can use your hands if you need to. You can have your hands on the front of your knees as well, but a good technique would be to bring your nose over your toes and then push up through your legs, yeah? And then back down again. So I poke my bottom out, reach for the back of the chair. So let's do about 10 of those, shall we? That was 1. And each time you'll find that if you bring that nose over your toes, it just helps get you out of the chair a bit easier. If you don't do that, then it's a lot harder, I'd say almost impossible, to be honest. So even though it's an exercise, we're going to do a good technique each time. So again, I don't mind how many repetitions you do. It might be you just do 4 or 5 of them. You might be able to do 10 quite easily. You might even, again, set a timer for a full minute there. I'm terrible at counting how many I've done, to be honest, especially when I'm talking. So we'll do a couple more, and I think that'll be enough by then. So 1 more, and back up again. Good. So that was sitting to standing, and again, if you do a few of these as an exercise, then hopefully that struggle of getting out of the chair becomes a little bit easier with practice. Right, we're going to do another really good balance exercise. I can actually stand behind the table for this one, so you can still see me. What I'm going to do, I've got a salt shaker here. I'm going to have this on the table in front of me. Gosh, where shall I put it? Over here maybe. And what I'm going to do, I'm not touching the table. For you, you might well be stood with that chair behind you and the table in front of you. But again, I'm going to go over here so you can see what I'm doing. So I want you to be safe, yeah? Definitely safe. If you can do it without holding on, that's brilliant. And what you're going to do, you're going to take one of your hands, reach over for some sort of object in front of you. So in my case, it's the salt shaker. And then I want you to turn and try and reach and place it away from you. So I didn't touch the table there, but I'm just practicing that act of reaching and leaning out of my base of support. And then I'm going to swap over and do the same on the opposite hand. So again, I reach over, and if you've got a lovely big table, you might be able to go much further than me, but I'm a little bit more limited for the size of the table at the moment. So there we go. And I'm back again. So you can make this interesting. You could have different objects around you, and it might even be that you practice sort of bending and twisting around and placing something onto a chair beside you even. So it doesn't need to be, boring. You could reach them, but it's got to be safe. Whatever you're doing, it's got to be safe. But that act of practicing reaching and then placing is a really good way of building up our strength and our balance reactions there. So that was exercise 9. So we're on to the last one now, and it's good old sidestepping. So again, we can get a bit weak with our muscles around the hip here. So I want you to have a nice secure surface in front of you. I'm going to start off on this side of the table, and what I'm going to do, you can hold on if you need to, but I want you to just practice sidestepping, and I can keep on going here all the way around the table. So again, I'm going to move that out of the way so I don't knock it over. Now, if you're struggling with your balance, you might even use your hands as you go in here, and that's fine. The key thing that I'm looking for when you're doing this exercise, I don't mind how big the strides you are, but I want your belt line, your pelvis to stay nice and level. So as I stride there, notice how I'm keeping my pelvis nice and level. I'll come back round here. So what I don't want you to be doing is wiggling the hips as you go there. Try and keep your pelvis nice and level all the way around. I think we'll go there and back one more time, and that'll be done. So again, you work to your own ability. If you just kept on going around the same direction, you're only going to get strong on one side, so you need to keep on going back and forwards with that one. So that was your 10 exercises to help you with your balance. Hopefully they were of some use to you. If they were easy, then you could do a few more repetitions. If you found they were hard, start small. And again, if you found that it was really hard work, just stick to some chair exercises to begin with. But thanks for watching, and look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.